What is up, Packers fans? Happy Victory Sunday. Welcome into our post-game edition of the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You, of course, can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thank you so insanely much for being here. Thank you for all the support. It is a great day, a great night, a great life when you are a Green Bay Packers fan. That is for sure. I know I didn't win the $1.7 billion lottery, but it certainly feels like the Packers won the lottery, getting Micah Parsons, and the way that the Packers have obviously started this season as well. I mean, could not have asked for much better, much different in that game against Detroit. Looked really good offensively. A little bit of a lull there in the third quarter, but overall, I thought they looked really good. Certainly like to see the run game get going a little bit more than that, but Detroit had a specific thing that they were trying to take away, which was Josh Jacobs, understandably so, and Green Bay took advantage of it. Defensively, had it not been for maybe the catch of the year already in the NFL by Tesla in the back of the end zone, kudos to him on that catch. Had it not been for that, they pretty much pitch a shutout, 2 field goals leading up until that point, and never really in doubt. They never had, that touchdown is just straight garbage time points. It didn't matter at all. So, I mean, just the exact performance that you pretty much would have drawn up if you were the Green Bay Packers and what you wanted to see out of that game. I mean, so many positive takeaways. You've seen Micah Parsons make that impact. Wonder where all those people are at this moment that, he's just washed. He's a shadow of himself, doesn't impact winning the game. Enjoy your overpaid superstar. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy the superstar because in even minimal playing time, he has a pressure that leads to another sack. There's a pressure that leads to a red zone interception. How much different is the game if he doesn't get there and maybe Detroit ends up scoring on that drive? He has a pressure that, is a sack, obviously. And I talked to Jacob Westendorf. He was sitting next to me in the press box. And when they were up big, and especially right before they scored that final touchdown, I'm like, Green Bay's going to get a touchdown here. Detroit's going to be forced to pass. Mike is going to get that, obvious passing down sack, and this place is going to erupt. And lo and behold, he gets it. And I think the beautiful thing about that sack from Micah in that situation is it allowed you to build the anticipation leading up until the sack, right? Like the only person that didn't see that coming in the entire stadium and watching the game was Jared Goff. He was the only one that didn't know that Micah was just closing on him at like 1,000,000 miles per hour, like a shooting star, Matt LaFleur said after the game. That it was even better because we got to live that anticipation in real time of that sack, seeing him chase it down, and then the crowd just erupts as soon as he gets that sack. What a wonderful day at Lambeau Field. This is the team that you were hoping to see. It was funny because the exact score that I think I said probably 100 times this week of like, you can't be down 17-3. You can't be down 17-3. This has got to be a game that you come out and set the tone early. It can't be down 17-3. And lo and behold, Green Bay is the one up 17-3 in this game. They came out, the piss was hot. They were energetic. They were fired up. That was the energy on those first 2 drives, defense and on offense, was as good of any energy that I have seen from the Packers in my entire time covering the team. I don't know how you could get better. The defense was completely fired up. Jordan Love, I asked him about it in the game as well. Like you usually see him pretty even keeled. He was going wild after that first touchdown throw. That was a special opening to the game where you get the touchdown, you get the immediate stop. It just felt, you felt the energy in the stadium. It had a different feel to it than I've seen from a team in a while. That it was all the way around fun. It was all the way around fun. Like I said, you could not have drawn up a better start to the season than what Green Bay experienced in that particular game. It was awesome being there. As Matt LaFleur said, a few too many Detroit jerseys in the stadiums. The people who sold those tickets need to be a little bit better. But I talked about that on the pregame show, the live pregame show of like, this is just the modern NFL. And as ticket prices go up, there's going to be more tickets for sale on the open market and that are going to the highest bidder. And as I talked about verbatim in the pregame show, I just said, imagine you're a fan of another team and your favorite team plays the Green Bay Packers. If you could go to one away game any year, you want to go to Lambeau. Like there's just no way around it. Like that's the stadium that you want to go see. It's a destination for sports fans and certainly for football fans. If I were a Lions fan, hell yeah, that's the game that I'm going to. and you have direct from Detroit to Green Bay, it's going to unfortunately be a little bit of the world that we live in, where there are going to be those fans in the stands. And as I mentioned too, it's going to help Green Bay a lot in opposing games where there are a ton of Packers fans in opposing games. So it is what it is. It's on, a little bit of an unfortunate aspect of it, but man, I don't even want to focus on that because there were so many amazing takeaways. We'll get into all of your amazing questions as well in the super chats as well. I should mention as well that we are presented today by Luiges Pizza. Huge shout out to them. That victory pizza is going to taste a little bit more delicious after this one, I have to say. Not me walking to my car after the game and having multiple people stop me and say something about enjoy your victory pizza, or that victory pizza is going to taste a little sweeter tomorrow. Like multiple people shouting it out to me about the victory pizza, which I absolutely love. I love that that's the brand, but shout out to Luigi's and a huge thank you to them for presenting today's show. But yeah, so many positive things that I want to get to. I want to start with the interior of the defensive line. That went from a question mark to look out. Colby Wooden, this is all first glance, right? I haven't seen any all 22 of anything, but Colby Wooden I thought was fantastic. Devontae Wyatt I thought was fantastic. And certainly guys like Nasir Stackhouse, Carl Brooks weren't getting pushed around inside either. We talked about team defense, right, in the run game, that if you go back to last year, yes, Kenny and TJ, they helped. There's no question about it, but it was a team defensive effort in run defense. And we saw that again today. Assignment sure football, edges setting the edge, defensive tackles that were holding up at the point of attack, linebackers that were flowing to the football, corners and safeties that could come up and support in run defense. It was really something special to see, and to hold a running back duo like that in check the way that they did, it sets the entire pace for everything that you want to do defensively, getting you in some of those third and long situations. I thought Edgerrin Cooper was phenomenal as well. He was all over the place. And this was a Jeff Hafley special too. Go back and watch this game if you have a chance. When you do rewatch this game, watch how many times they go play action or they try to get something down the field, and watch how many times Jared Goff had to take a check down. And one thing I just want to let you know, I know a lot of you are aware of this already. I'm not breaking any news to you, but get used to this in some real way, meaning that there's going to be times where it's a little bit frustrating, where you're seeing some 5-yard dump down completions and, some of those things are open. Just know that that's by design. They are making sure that this is the game plan, right? You make sure that they cannot run the football. You keep things covered up over the top. Think of the modern NBA, okay? Defensively, you have to make a real serious, or you have to have a real serious plan on what you want to stop, because you cannot stop everything. So from an NBA standpoint, what you really want to limit is you do not want to allow points in the paint, and you do not want to allow 3-pointers. The 3-pointers are too valuable. You don't want to allow points in the paint. So what are you willing to allow? Because you can't stop everything. So what modern NBA defenses say is we're going to allow you to have, jump shot, your mid-range jumpers, right? That we'll contest them as best we can. But if we have to live with you shooting a bunch of mid-range jumpers, that's what we're going to live with. We can't let you have dunks and layups. We can't let you shoot open 3-pointers. So you're going to have a little bit more space and opportunity in the mid-range. This is the exact same version of that, basically, from an NFL defense. We're not letting you have the deep pass, and we're not letting you run the football. So yes, underneath some of the stuff that you're going to check down, we're going to give you that from time to time, and we're going to live with that from time to time. And that's exactly what Green Bay did. And then when they got into the tough situations, into the red zone, where all of a sudden that stuff clogs up and you can't find those checkdowns as easily anymore, and because you don't have to cover as much space, there's no deep balls they have to worry about. Now everyone's covering everything. They're going to make it really difficult for you. You're still not running the football. You're getting a great pass rush. And it just goes back to the old adage too, of like, if you have to put together these 10 to 12, 70-yard drives, you're going to screw up at some point along the way. And Green Bay did that to near perfection today defensively. You can't get anything down the field. Enjoy your brand new contract, Jameson Williams. We're not allowing you anything to get anything explosive down the field. We're not going to allow you to run the football. And yeah, we'll let you. Jahmyr Gibbs had, I think, 10 checkdowns today. I think it was 10 checkdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs. I know, because Dusty Evely had him against me in fantasy, and despite Gibbs doing basically nothing, he still had a huge score because of those stupid 10 checkdowns. But it was, 10 receptions for 31 yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. 10 for 31 for Jahmyr Gibbs. So not only is that working into what you want to do, but also a unbelievable credit to the tackling of the defense and the rallying to the football, because, and this is where Adrian Cooper just comes in, where he's on him immediately. Quay Walker's on him immediately. You catch that check down and go back to the Falcons game today. Bijan catches one in the flat, makes one person miss, and it's a touchdown for Atlanta. Then Jahmyr Gibbs has that same ability, and they just never allowed him after those checkdowns to do anything but average 3 yards per catch on 10 catches for an insanely explosive runner. I thought, again, this was a pure masterclass by Jeff Hafley. And again, it took a garbage time, heroic touchdown catch just to get points on the board that weren't two relatively, harmless field goals up until that point. Offensively, a couple throws that Jordan maybe got a little bit away with, one that probably should have been picked, another that was, but he got bailed out a little bit due to penalty. That's something to keep a little bit of an eye on. But I thought outside of that, he was extremely efficient. In fact, I thought like even some of the incompletions, the one certainly down the field to Jaden Reed on the third down, tough catch, a combat catch, but one that you probably should make. I thought he put it right on Jaden Reed in that situation. And I thought overall, he took what was there when there were shot plays to be had. He made those big plays, had the big play down the field to Romeo Doubs. I mean, when you get a 2-play touchdown drive, including 2 explosive pass plays, that's pretty good. So I thought Jordan handled it well. I thought the pass protection was amazing. I thought the wide receivers looked dangerous. We're catching pretty much everything their way outside of, again, maybe that one by Jaden Reed. The one thing, of course, you would have liked a little bit better was the run game. I will say Detroit, A, took away the run, and B, they got DJ Reader, Tyleek Williams inside. They got some big beefy bodies. It makes it a little bit difficult. And you saw some things open up a little bit more as time goes on. But I thought overall, you put up 27 points on their defense. If you said going into the game that Green Bay scored 27 points, A, you probably would have been pretty happy. And B, you would have said, hopefully the defense does enough to get you the win. And defensively, what you allow 13 points. I would have said going into the game that you allow 13 points. Again, even if you're not taking away the garbage time touchdown here, if you would have said 13 points, you would have said, yeah, the offense probably is going to do enough to win that game. I thought a winning performance by the offense, a winning performance by the defense against a very good football team. And we'll see how much they miss Ben Johnson and how much they miss Aaron Glenn, or if Green Bay is just that good. This is what we want to be wondering going into week 2. Of course, injuries a factor here as well, that on a short turnaround week, we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on. We know Brenton Cox went out with an injury. That one looks like it might be a little bit. Now, I don't know that for sure, but he got ruled out pretty quickly on that one. Zach Tom goes out. Jordan did say after that he didn't think it was anything serious, but it didn't also seem like he knew to any great extent either. You had Aaron Banks that went out with an ankle injury. And then who is the other person that went out with that injury? It was, I don't have my notebook by me. All right. So it was Tom. It was Banks. Bo Melton was the other one. And he was not in at the end of the game on kick coverage either. So that's another one that you could, theoretically have to keep an eye out for this Thursday as well with the short turnaround. So huge game now with Washington coming up, and a major game, but you've got that win in your belt. I said kind of all along. Now the calculus changes a little bit. I don't really want to go 1-1 anymore now that you won the first one, of course, but I did really feel like, hey, if you go 1-1 and then can pick up the wins against Cleveland and Dallas, going to the bye 3-1, you feel really good. It is really nice getting that first win, against Detroit, especially the win in the division right away, and just give you a leg up immediately in the NFC North. And now if you can pick up that second win, Thursday Night Football at home, and then get that mini bye before you go to Cleveland, then you have Dallas, and then you have another bye. It could just set up really, really well for you to start the season. So one game at a time, of course. A huge one coming up against Washington will, of course, get you all set for it here on the Pack a Day podcast as well. All right, really quick, before we get into all of your incredible questions, I'm going to get to this first, then super chats, and then I'll get to as many questions as I can, probably over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. Give me 1 second here. Just want to go through my sleeper picks for Monday Night Football. All right, here we go. So I've got Colston Loveland, more than 27.5 receiving yards in that game. I do think they're going to feature him early and often. I've got Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy less than their passing yard amount. So I'm going Caleb Williams less than 217.5 and JJ McCarthy less than 225.5 on passing yards. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle. I don't think that either of these offenses are going to take off with any real crazy, numbers in week one. I think it's going to take Ben Johnson a little bit of time for that offense to get going in Chicago. I think it's going to take some time for JJ McCarthy in his first game to get going in Minnesota. So I think defenses win this one. Fewer yards for McCarthy, fewer yards for Caleb Williams, and more yards for Colston Loveland. Also, what I should mention here, I took advantage of their flex play option, which is awesome as well. If you haven't checked that out yet, check it out over at Sleeper. Get a 100% match up to $100 by using code PACKADAY. Again, use that code PACKADAY, 100% match up to $100. The link is in the show description today. All right, let's get to all of your incredible questions. There we go. Huge shout out to Sleeper, by the way. Appreciate their partnership. All right. So Sunnyverse, thank you for becoming a brand new member. Really appreciate that, Sunnyverse. Brian coming in right away with a $20 super chat. Andy, I asked earlier in the show which rotational guy you could pick for a breakout game, and you mentioned interior defensive line. I think they heard you. Great game from the D today. Goff never looked comfortable with or without Micah. That is one of the real exciting parts of this game. And by that, I mean the fact that Micah didn't even get fully ingrained in this defense yet. I mean, you are just, when I say you're scratching the surface, I mean, it's scratching the surface of the surface on this one of what you're going to be able to do with Micah Parsons. And oh, by the way, that was Penei freaking Sewell that he went against. You've got a bad offensive tackle. Good luck. Good freaking luck. Detroit has good offensive tackles. Micah's probably at like 70% of himself, playing like, I don't know, 40% of the downs that he could possibly play. And he makes that level of impact in that game. Good luck, NFL. Good luck. It's going to be a long season for you against that man who seems ultra motivated after coming over to Green Bay. And we talked about it too as like a starting pitcher rotation, right? Where you add a starting pitcher to the rotation. All of a sudden your one becomes the two becomes the three becomes the four. I thought Rashawn Gary looked better. LVN looked better. Devontae Wyatt looked better. Carl Brooks looked better. And now all of a sudden, everything just sort of fits into place with kind of everyone kind of being where they should be, right? Rashawn is your ace. LVN is your two. Maybe you don't feel quite as good about that. Now with Micah as your ace, Rashawn as your two, LVN as your three, with Wyatt and Brooks and those guys rushing from the inside. Hello. That was fun to watch all game long with the pressure that they were able to get there on Jared Goff. And credit to LVN too. I thought he had a really nice game. I thought Devontae Wyatt had a really good game. But yeah, Colby Wooden, my goodness. Again, want to watch the L22 on him, but he understood the assignment. He put on the weight. He looked good. And I don't know if, all right, there's a report from Ian Rappaport. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's the report from Ian Rappaport that Green Bay was interested in Trey Hendrickson. And in those conversations, the Bengals wanted Kenny Clark and a mid-round pick. And Green Bay said no, that they weren't going to trade Kenny Clark earlier in the year when they had these conversations. He was off limits in that specific deal. There's one of two things that could have happened, right? One is that it's just Micah Parsons. So you're more willing to let Kenny Clark go in that deal because it's Micah. He's in his prime. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. So you maybe say yes to Dallas for Micah and say no to Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson in that situation. There's also a piece of me that wonders if the Kenny Clark calculus changed and willing to trade him because of Colby Wooden. And I say that because I know Jeff Hafley all throughout the offseason has really been talking up the depth at defensive tackle and what they were able to do. And Nasir Stackhouse probably played a piece of that, a part of that as well. He had a big role today and was in there quite a bit on run defense. And I thought held up. Again, I'll look at the L22 this week to see what it looks like. But if there was a nervousness of anything going in, that interior defensive line was maybe it. And they answered that in an emphatic way. Now, again, Detroit's interior of the offensive line was a big question mark as well. And so we'll see if they can continue to do that against maybe some better interiors moving forward. But this is a great first step for that interior. And I think it gives you a lot of confidence as well. Speaking of which, I know that on paper that you're looking at Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Javon Bullard in the slot and saying like, it's just not enough. They're like, can they stop? This is a good Lions receiving core. All right. And Amon-Ra St. Brown went 4 for 45. And even I know one of those catches again was garbage time at the end. Jamison Williams went 4 for 23. Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams caught 8 passes for 68 yards combined. This is what they did last year. They're a really good zone defense team that will throw in a man-to-man every once in a while. They're a really good communicating team on the back end, and it is defense by committee. It is everyone doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Jeff Hafley has them cooking, guys. He is he's out of his mind with what he has gotten out of this defense already. And you have to just be so excited about what he's already doing in week 1 against Detroit. And it should continue to get better the more and more Micah that you have. And getting Nate Hobbs back at some point as well. That should be a huge win there also. So this is, again, just a phenomenal start for this entire team, certainly the defense included. Donald Lee coming up huge as well. Was Javon Bullard envisioned to be a starting safety or slot? And what do you think it's going to be his best position? Could Zach Tom's lack of size be why he seems to get hurt in their biggest games? Well, the second one is easy. First of all, I don't think Zach Tom's had any real injury history of note. I'm not willing to put that moniker on him. Also, no, his size has nothing to do. He goes flying in the air to avoid Jordan Love after Jordan Love kind of like rolled or was rolling into him after the dirty hit on him or whatever. And then Tom just lands right on his hip. Like it just comes down 300 pounds plus right on his hip. That's just it's not what you want to happen in that situation. Right. So it's just a fluke injury, guys. Like I know that everyone wants some sort of narrative with injuries of how can we twist this to shape something. It's just football and things like that are going to happen. He landed on his hip. It's unlucky. It is what it is. Hopefully it's nothing long-term and he can be back sooner rather than later. But no, if anything, I think, his size probably helped him in that. If he's 330 pounds, now you've got an additional 30 pounds landing on that hip. That probably is not better in that situation. As far as Javon Bullard, the idea with him when you drafted him was that he could be a safety and that he could be a slot. Now, I think he still is a safety. I think that's ultimately his best position. But I'll say a couple things here. Number one, he did a great job today in the slot. He allowed the one completion in man-to-man on Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a tough ask. Like, just hang with him on that one. He made the immediate tackle too. That's what you're asking for. They know in that situation that when you go man, that you're basically doing it as a changeup, right? Like you're just being unpredictable in that moment so that you're not doing the same thing over and over and over. And that Javon's matched up one-on-one with Amon-Ra St. Brown in man coverage, and it's not ideally what you want. You hope that maybe Goff doesn't look his way right away, but you hang with him on that one. Outside of that, I thought he did a great job in the slot. As far as I know, some people were surprised in the first half that Bullard was the starting safety next to McKinney, right? We've talked about this here. I've talked about it a couple of different times. I think what people don't recognize is Bullard and Williams are two different types of safeties. And what Bullard is really, really good at, going back to his days at Georgia and still carrying over into the NFL, is when you're playing too high safety, okay, which you want to live in as much as you possibly can. When you're playing too high safety and you're in base defense, one of Bullard's superpowers is being able to go from deep safety up until the line of scrimmage insanely fast, fill his gap, and like break down and make that tackle. He is a really good run defending safety from deep. And that might not sound like much, but there is a real legitimate skill set that comes with that. And just frankly, he's better than Evan Williams in that. He's better than most at that particular skill. And he can play fine in too high safety, right? That's not a difficult position for any NFL safety to play. It's why if you're just playing a lot of too high safeties, some teams will just, you don't need anything extraordinary at that position because we're just playing too high. You just have a half of the field, right? So that to me is the reason why you put him in on base downs early in the game, is because you're expecting more run game and for him to come in and fill that position. Now, you saw Evan Williams come in and play base in the second half. They could just spend what they were planning on, right? Like Bullard's going to get one half, Williams is going to get the second half. I would be willing to bet you that if it was flipped and Green Bay was down 11, or if that's an even game and you're likely to see more run, that Bullard would have stayed as the safety in the cover two to still stop that run. Whereas Green Bay was actually up in this game by 11. And I think they knew that Detroit was probably going to have to throw it a little bit more. And that's why you put Evan Williams in, because he's the better coverage player. It's really, really smart stuff from Jeff Hafley. Everyone wanted to focus on the type of defense Jeff Hafley was going to play when he came in. The thing that impressed me moment from day one with Jeff was that he was going to put his positions where they were going to fit best for the right reasons and put them in positions to succeed. That's a perfect example of it. Most people are just thinking Javon Bullard's the starter in base or Evan Williams is the starter in base. No, you have different situations that come up through the course of the game. Bullard's the better run defender in too high safety. Williams is the better pass defender in too high safety. So if you're in base defense early in the game and you're, even or down and there's more run opportunities, you want Bullard out there. And if you are in more obvious passing situations, even when you're in base, I want Evan Williams out there. It's logical and it makes all the sense in the world. But Bullard, I thought, was really good in this one. And I think you saw exactly today how he should be used. You can use him at safety. You can use him in the slot. You can mix and match him. I thought the angst and anxiety over Javon Bullard was way overblown. I think he's still going to be a really good football player in this league. In an ideal world, he probably is just a full-time safety, but it's a good way to get him on the field when you've got Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney being your two primary safeties for the vast majority of the game. Thank you. Appreciate that question, though, Donald. This just in. I'm assuming that means, we got another one from Johnny. I'm assuming that's an evil laugh of stealing Micah Parsons or just some overall victory excitement. I appreciate you, Johnny. What did you think of the secondary today? Appreciate the question, Christopher, in the super chat. I thought they were fantastic. And again, this is a defense that knows how to play zone defense. I thought the communication by the defense was outstanding. Watch them pre-snap, all getting on the same page, all making sure they know exactly what they're doing. It's so refreshing. If you remember back in the Barry and even the Pettin defenses where there'd be the Packers pointing at each other after a play, there'd be a lot of communication after the play, after something broke down. Now you're seeing that communication take place in a real way prior to the snap to make sure that everyone's on the same page, has the right assignments, and makes things extremely difficult for opposing offenses. They disguise things well. They communicate things well. They cover well. They rally well. They tackle well. And I thought it was a very cohesive defense all the way around that was all on the same page all throughout the game, which is exactly what we saw for a huge chunk of the games last year under Jeff Hafley. It looked even better today, which has to be really exciting. Again, not even having Nate Hobbs yet, not even having Micah Parsons for a full complementary of snaps yet. Parsons is a xenomorph. I know what a xenomorph is. I'm not super familiar with the terminology, but I will take your word for it, AXT. Micah edits Pack-A-Day videos. He does not, but he's welcome to. I know he's got some podcast skills, so he's welcome to come on the podcast anytime. Micah plays the organ and lamb. He can do a little bit of everything. Yes, he can. The team dominated in the trenches. The investments there are working and are now supercharged by Micah. Hope Tom is okay going forward. Go Pack, go. Kyle, appreciate that chat. And yes, if there's anything coming out of this game that you have a little bit of worry on, it's certainly injuries. Zach Tom, Aaron Banks, Bo Melton, Brenton Cox. Those are the four that we have to kind of monitor. And then we know Nate Hobbs, Zane Anderson didn't play in this game, or at least were inactive. And we know Nate is via injury. You're assuming Zane was probably deactivated due to the injury as well. Maybe Baron Sorrell was in that conversation also. So those are kind of the injuries to keep an eye on this week as we get set for Washington on Thursday. Hayden, appreciate the super chat. The Pack is back. LFG. Also, I looked, but I couldn't find any Luiges Pizzas here in Champaign, Illinois, but I'm still celebrating a great win. Shout them out on Twitter. They might be able to find something for you. I do think they have them in that area. I don't know 100% for sure, but if you send them a DM on Twitter, they'll likely get back to you and say where the closest one that you can find it is. Mike, no, I invented Victory Pizzas, Johnny. I'm willing to give Mike a lot of credit. I'm not willing to give him credit for that one. That's an Andy Herman special right there. Andy, I've never seen a Green Bay defense gang tackle like today. Superb job by the D. We ain't seen nothing yet. Joshua, I would take it a step further. They didn't need gang tackling on a lot of it. It was first guy down. I thought the tackling was tremendous. Again, I want to go back and watch it, chart it a little bit better, but Edge Cooper, Quay Walker, that was a really special game by those two, I thought, at first glance. I thought both of those guys, just immediately made the play every single time they had the opportunity. Other than Quay maybe dropping that interception and having that opportunity there, outside of that, I thought those two were really, really good. And I thought in totality, there was the play again where Bullard gave up the completion to Amon-Ra St. Brown, immediately got him to the ground. I think Laporta maybe had one play where he broke a couple tackles, but Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson, Jahmyr Gibbs, they have some really talented players after the catch that if you allow them to get going, they will get going in a significant way. And Green Bay just never, ever allowed them to get going that way. Prosthetic Soul X. First time catching you live. Thanks for all the content from you and your team. What a game. I know it's only one game, but the defense feels special. No, I totally agree with how the defense feels. And I do feel like it was a special performance from this defense. 1 second. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see. What else we got here? Titletown T became a brand new member. Appreciate you, Titletown T, and came in with the super chat as well. This is a Super Bowl season, Andy. I feel that. Tell me why I might be correct. What impressed you most today? Yeah, we obviously went at the onset over everything that I think was super impressive. Titletown, what? All right. It's a long season. A lot can happen. Just like I said, hey, don't get too low if it's a loss. Don't get too high if it's a win. I still want to set that expectation, okay? Not to be a wet blanket or anything like that, but I want to temper it with that first. Say, we don't know anything yet. It's still very early in the season. What I will tell you is I thought watching this game that it felt different, different in a way that I don't know that I can quite define just yet. I saw a team that believed that they were the better team, that knew they were the better team, and was eager to go out and prove it. There was no hesitation. There was no anxiety. There was no trepidation. They stepped on Detroit's neck and they just never took their foot off of it. And you could feel the energy. You could feel the way that they came out of that game with just a million miles per hour. And I had a little bit of fear of that because that happens sometimes early. And then, like, how do you respond as like that energy kind of goes away and the game just sort of keeps going? Like the energy, like they never were going to be able to keep that level of energy through the entirety of the game, right? Like that was just unsustainable for anything, but they continued to play great football all throughout the course of the day. And if anything, I think you could argue if there was any team that left some stuff out there today, I think you could argue it was Green Bay. That it wasn't Detroit's that like, man, if we just had these couple plays back, there wasn't much there for Detroit that I thought like, yep, they were this close to making that one big play on a few different occasions and just couldn't, just bad luck or didn't happen. No, if anything, I thought Green Bay had a couple more opportunities to, either come up with interceptions like Quay Walker to maybe hit that play to Tucker Kraft early in the game. Like I thought Jaden Reed maybe come up with that catch. I thought there was more meat on that bone there for Green Bay. And they dominated a team that was one of the best teams in football a season ago. It felt different. It felt real. And outside of, again, just saying like, hey, let's take this a week at a time. As excited as we are today, if they lose on Thursday, it's going to be like, oh, well, that's whatever, right? You're going to go back to being like, oh, same old Packers, can't put anything together consistently. So it has to just kind of continue to string along. And you have to show that consistency week in and week out. Today felt really awesome and it felt different and it felt special. And hopefully that's something that can continue to carry over moving forward. I think it will, but again, it's a long season ahead. Perfection per frickin' fection. So much to say, but real quick, shout out to an unsung hero, Colby Wooden. Wow, young brother. Wow, he was really, really good in this game. I really liked the way that he played. Heard Mike as the producer for Pack-A-Day Podcasts. John, you are out of control, my friend. Darian Kennard was a great trade by Goody. It was funny because one of the things that I took the time to do this week was go through and grade Micah on every play, right? You guys probably saw that episode out there, but I graded Micah from every play last year. And my thinking in doing that was, oh, what I want to do is look at my grades from the players that they lost and then look at the grades from the players that they gained and how does that even out? So I really wanted to get through Micah so I could do that. And then I immediately remembered that they also picked up Neiman, right? And Neiman only played like 40 snaps on defense last year. So I quickly went through those and that was easy. And then I'm putting the tweet together. I'm like, oh, that's right. They traded for Kennard too. And it just so happened that Kennard had like 80, 90 snaps on offense a season ago. So I had to go through and grade those ones quick. And I was so happy that I got to do that because, and I noted this in the tweet that I put out as well, Kennard can play. Like I was really, really impressed with what he put on tape in Philly last year. It was against the Giants, right? It was a game that they didn't need. Like they had backup quarterbacks in through the course of the game and things like that. It was a pseudo sort of preseason game for Philly in that one. But he went up a bunch against like Brian Burns and that good Giants defense, the defensive line, I should say at least. And he more than held his own. And even furthermore, it was at right tackle that he did it. And when they first got him, I'm like, I think he's just going to need to be a guard. I don't think that you maybe want him at tackle. And then I watched him at tackle and I'm like, man, he can hang at tackle. I was really impressed with the tape that he put out there in the regular season last year. And then he came in today. It was an interesting note because they had Jordan Morgan. They had Anthony Belton. They could have put either of those players in at right tackle. Now, Morgan hasn't done a ton at right tackle, right? So maybe there was a little bit of a hesitation in that, but like Belton's been practicing at right tackle all offseason. They could have gone with either of those guys. They could have kicked somebody else out. They could have done a variety of different things. Nope. In comes Kennard. And I thought again, first glance, but I thought he more than held his own. Had a really nice block in the run game on one particular play as well. That's really encouraging. And if they get a solid right guard, right tackle out of a 6th-round pick, man, it's not going to have the impact of Micah Parsons, but that can be extremely, extremely valuable for you throughout the course of the season. Excited to go back and watch him on tape. But again, when I watched his 2024 tape, I came away really impressed and thought that he was a starting caliber player from the tape that I saw. So that could end up being a steal from Goody, no question about it. All right, Sam Squatch. Hutch's only impact play was unnecessary roughness on Love in injuring Tom, I should say. How is Tom Kraft in the O-line shut down Hutch? I thought the offensive line did a really great job on Aiden Hutchinson. And that's his first game back, right? So he'll probably get better as the course of the season went along. But one of the things everyone pointed out about Detroit all offseason, and we talked about it in the lead up to it, is that they don't have anybody besides Hutch. There's nobody in that defensive front from a pass rush standpoint that gives you any fear. You feel totally fine with Marcus Davenport, and DJ Reader's a run stuffer. Tyleik Williams is a rookie who's more of a run stuffer. They don't have that sub guy coming in and all of a sudden like wreaking havoc. It felt like it was Hutchinson or bust for their defensive line. And when that's the case, I mean, you can chip that guy. If he's playing left defensive end, you're going to get a chip or some help, but more often than not. And you're going to get Zach Tom too. Even if you go the other side, it's still Rasheed Walker, and you're probably getting help from a tight end or a running back on a chip on that. You can take him out of the game for the most part by doing that, and you don't really fear anything else. And I thought you saw that today from Detroit. They just didn't have the horses up front to really give you any sort of hesitation on anything. And yeah, Hutchinson had pretty much zero impact. So we don't know the injury on Tom yet, but I thought the offensive line did a phenomenal job pass blocking in this game. Run blocking, a little bit of still a work in progress. Joseph, that crowd was loud from Parsons' tunnel introduction to his first play on that 3rd down stop to his sack with that breakneck speed. It was a crowd that was ready for Micah Parsons today, and they were excited to see him play. He did not disappoint. And yeah, the crowd pop for some of those. Yeah, it feels very different right now. I mean, just a really fun coming together of a sequence of things, from that moment at the draft where Matthew Golden gets selected and the crowd in Green Bay, pops at an extreme level. The Micah Parsons trade and seeing him be out there for the first game. There's been some really awesome moments of Packers fandom already, and we're just through week 1, and it's been a fun 9 months or eight months plus so far. And hopefully that extends through the remainder of the season and certainly into February. That's obviously the goal. And right now, I think those dreams of everything are dancing in everyone's head right now. Titletown T, thanks again. Odds half gets a head coach interview in the offseason. He might get one this week. The Dolphins might be calling to see if they can set up with an interview with Jeff Hafley right now. No, he's going to get more than one interview in the offseason. And if this anywhere near continues, Green Bay is going to have to do their best to find a replacement, because he's going to be gone, and deservedly so. And I know that there's some people that are like, yeah, but remember, he stopped being a coach because he just wanted to focus on No, he stopped being a coach in college because college started to suck being a coach, because it was all transfer stuff and NIL, and it just got to be a real drag. And he wanted to, I think, get out of that situation. And he couldn't become a head coach in the NFL. He didn't have the resume for it yet. So he took the defensive coordinator job under Matt LaFleur, and will build that resume to become a head coach. I think it's just a matter of time and who ultimately hires him. But I think every team that passes on him for a head coaching job is going to be very disappointed that they did so, because he's unbelievable, sincerely. All right. Go Pack Go. I'm so happy. I love how we got off to such a fast start. So cool to see how much of an impact Parsons had too. Go Pack Go. I am right there with you. Brandon V, how long until we see Micah take first down snaps? He took a couple today, but you know what? I don't want to put a timeline on it. I don't know what their thought process is, but take him, as slowly as they need to take him, get him a little bit more in game shape. And my hope is that after the bye week, going into week 6, that he is ready to fire on all cylinders after that. Kind of ramp him up through the course of these next few weeks. Get him that bye week. Hopefully he's super healthy after that, and you're just ready to completely unleash him starting week 6 after that bye. Doc Joe, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate you. Jared Goff looking like Rams Goff with the interior pressure. Listen, I watched it from the booth, or right, so the press box. Up there, you get a huge view of like how everything is progressing. Man, I watched it. I didn't see much open down the field. And when your pass blocking is deteriorating in front of you and you have nowhere to go down the field, yeah, you're going to settle for a lot of checkdowns, and there's going to be some sacks, and you're not going to look great as a quarterback. I don't really take much away from Jared Goff in this one. I would rather credit Green Bay's defense, who I think, again, did a tremendous, tremendous job. Darian Kennard looked good coming in for Tom. Another Goody snipe. Yeah, if I were teams, I would probably think twice before trading anyone to Goody at this point. If Goody calls and says, I'm interested in a player, I might just be like, all right, guys, we're going to keep this player and figure out what we have wrong, because apparently Goody likes him, so he's probably really good. I think Goody might have found another steal there. No question about it. Can't explain it, Andy, but something about the way Quay was decisive in talking to the line, getting people in line. He had a quietly really good game. Matt, I'm right there with you. I thought he was low-key fantastic in this one. And I'll just put it this way as well. As the captain and the communicator, and if he plays like that week in and week out, pay that man his money. Pay that man his money. That linebacker core looks special with Quay and Cooper today. Like, it looks special. If he's going to bring that week in and week out, I don't care if it's $18 million per year. I don't care what credit card you have to borrow from the future. You keep that together. You keep it together. So, team captain, green dot, intensity was great. Communication was phenomenal. There's a ton of value there if that's the way that Quay plays. I thought he was fantastic today. Shane, I live in Lions country. They are melting down. You hate to see it. You just hate to see it. Nick, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, my friend. AXD, Xenomorph equals an alien from the film franchise. He looked like one coming for Goff on that sack. My new nickname for him. All right, so I guess I was wrong. I think I was thinking of Xenogears, the old Squaresoft PlayStation video game. So yeah, I've never seen any of the Alien movies. My apologies. Never seen anything from the franchise. Craig, fast starts, high energy, swarm to the ball, big stops and big moments. This is a winning recipe. Hope to see it continue. Me too, Craig. Me too. I think it will. I really do. Jordan looked super comfortable in this game. O-line looked phenomenal. Pass blocking looked phenomenal. Run blocking, a little bit more hit and miss. That'll come with time. It always does. It usually takes a little bit for the offensive line to kind of gel together and get their feet underneath them. But from a pass protection standpoint, they were beyond on point in this game. It felt like every one of those big third downs, Jordan could have, he could have probably cooked a full Luiges Pizza, either the ultra thin crust or the fresh dough ones in the time that he had in the pocket. So I thought in pass pro, they were phenomenal. Seeing the energy from Dobbs felt different. Love to see it. It was a team thing. Wasn't just Romeo. The whole team was fired up in this one. They were ready to play. They were exuberant. It was a special energy. I'll just put it that way. It was a very special energy. Chase, thank you for the super chat. D tackles look good. Wyatt and Wooden. Yep. I mean, I don't want to say A+ because I haven't again watched it on all 22, but I couldn't have certainly asked for much more than what I saw Wyatt and Wooden give in this game. Only have to wait 4 days for more of this. Yes, but then it's gonna feel like forever going into week 3. I will say that. They can't. Okay, all right, Ralph. Easy, bud. They had what, one? Maybe there's 2, I guess, but. Listen, that's one of Detroit's strengths is their interior. I mean, DJ Reader, Tyleik Williams, those are good run stuffing defensive tackles. And again, that stuff comes in time too. Josh Jacobs is usually going to be pretty darn good at that stuff. You trust him in those situations. And I thought they ran the ball better as the game went on as well. This is about as perfect of a win as you get, guys. Like it's not going to be 100% perfect. The other team, I hate to break, like the other team does get paid too. The other team has really insanely good players too. Like they are going to make some plays. They are going to come up with some stops. Like that's just the nature of it, guys. Like it's not going to be perfect. So yes, they can get better at that. I think that's a fair thing to say. But if we're talking about a couple failed third down runs in this one is the thing that we want to nitpick, nitpick away, be my guest. I will gladly take that outcome. This is as much of a butt kicking in week 1 against a really good team as you are possibly going to get. All credit to Green Bay in this one. Beware. How nervous are you for the Commanders game? We don't have the best reputation for short week games. We don't have the best reputation for week 1 games either. I have no nerves, nothing whatsoever. Also, I'll just say this: if they lose this game, I'm not losing a ton of sleep over it. I saw a lot of proof of concept in this game against Detroit already. Washington's a good team. This is going to be, I think, a really fun fight early on in the season. And there's like I said, in order to go 12-5 or 13-4, you got to lose 4 or 5 games throughout the course of the season. Maybe this is one of them. I certainly will not be panicked if that ends up being the case. Now, if they lose 31-10 or something, all right, that'll be a little bit more eye-opening. But I have no nerves because I think Green Bay is going to come out and play really well in this game. I expect Green Bay to win this game. But even if they don't, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to freak out. I think they're already going to be in a really good spot. And I've already seen a lot of what I need to see for what this team can be in the long run. That to me is most important. I've talked to you guys about this before. I care what happens in January and February. This is going to be a playoff team. All right. Barring crazy injuries, which if you get anyway, nothing matters. Even if you get there, if you've got the crazy injuries, it just doesn't matter in the first place. But barring crazy injuries, they're going to be a playoff team. So now we're just talking about where that seeding lies and, how they show they can play against good teams that would give you the idea that they can win a Super Bowl. I saw a lot of those things already come to fruition today. There's a lot of season left. All right. So they still have work to do. But I feel very confident that this is going to be a playoff team. And now it's just how they refine themselves through the course of the season. They're probably going to lose 4 or 5 games. And it just, what can you learn in those situations? But no nerves going into this game. Beware. Any concerns about the second half offense? No. I mean, the third quarter was a little bit lackluster. But I mean, let's do this here, right? So they get the 12 play 83-yard touchdown drive, 7 play 36-yard field goal drive, 2 play 65-yard touchdown drive. Then they had the punt before half, but they were playing it very cautious because they didn't want to give Detroit the ball back before half with the opportunity to double up. Okay. So they really go touchdown, field goal, touchdown on their 3 drives in the first half. They get the ball up 17-6 to start the second half. They hand to Jacobs and he gets 6 yards on the first play. They hand to Jacobs again. He gets 3 yards on the second play. And then they kind of go quick because I think Green Bay caught them with a non-ideal personnel group on the field. So they go quick to be able to run against that personnel group that they wanted on the field so that Detroit couldn't bring in their goal line or their big defense to stop maybe a third down run. So they go a little bit fast. They give it to Jacobs up the middle. It's the right play call. They just, Detroit stuffs it. They didn't block it up very well. It's going to happen from time to time. You would like to see them pick up that first down, but it didn't. Detroit got off the field on that third down, and you're not going to do anything crazy there and go for it. You're up by 11, so you punt the ball away. You trust your defense. The defense immediately gets off the field. It's a 5-play, 11-yard drive for Detroit. They punt the ball away. Green Bay gets it back. They still have the ball for 8 plays and 39 yards, take 4 minutes off the clock. And I thought Jordan threw a gorgeous ball to Jaden Reed. It's a tough contested combat catch situation, and Reed ultimately couldn't come down with it. But they still put an 8-play drive together, go almost 40 yards. And then, it just so happens that Jaden Reed can't come up with that play. And then they go touchdown field goal right after that. And then it's end of game after. So again, taking that 3-play drive right before half, which I don't really count, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, the 3 and out, the 8-play 39-yard drop by Reed, we can kind of put in quotes, then touchdown field goal. I mean, so the touchdown field goal, touchdown field goal, they had 7 real drives. They scored on 5 of them. I can't ask for much more than that against a pretty good Lions defense. If you would have especially when it's not like they went 5 field goals, right? On their 5 scoring drives, they put up 27 points. I have no concern whatsoever. Titletown T gifted 5 Pack-A-Day memberships. Appreciate you, Titletown T. You're coming in hot today. Really appreciate it. We crushed them between the tackles. We can't complain about the 3rd and 1s. We expected the Lions to go for it on 4th most of the time. They didn't get the opportunity to. Enough said. Well said, Titletown T. Woodward Sports are in shambles. I don't know what that means, Mac T. Not sure what that means. All right. Wow, look at all these amazing comments in chat. You guys are amazing. 1,500 people in chat. I was intrigued by Golden. I'll put it that way. I didn't think always he looked the cleanest on punt returns in practice. Green Bay clearly felt very confident with him in that game. So I'm excited to see that a little bit more moving forward. So I'm cool with Golden back there right now. On that incomplete long pass to Reed, Love had Kraft wide open over the middle for an easy first down. I didn't see that. I'm sure I'll find it on the all 22 at the end. But yeah, you know what? Sometimes I don't hate Woodward Sports is a Detroit sports thing. Got it. That makes sense, Ben. Thank you. Sometimes I don't mind Jordan taking, like, let's just put it this way, right? Yeah, if that's the case, probably just take the first down to Kraft. But like, dude threw a dime to Jaden Reed and put it on him, gave him a chance to come up with that ball. I don't hate that aggressiveness from Jordan. I don't necessarily want to take that entirely out of him. I really don't. I think he's better when he's playing loose and confident and ripping some balls sometimes into tight spaces. That's good Jordan Love. I thought Jordan was really good in this game. Bob, thank you for that. Smash that like button and subscribe. No, I do not think Javon Bullard is a liability at all. I thought he had a really nice game in this one. Got beat on the one play in man-to-man coverage on Amon Ross St. Brown. Tip your cap. I thought he had a really nice game. I have no concerns about him right now. Did you see that a bunch of Lions fans are saying that Micah had no impact on the game whatsoever? Yeah, I mean, if you want to live blind and not see anything, you go for it. Have however you would like to blind yourself from reality when things hurt. You do you, Lions fans. Yes, and thank you, Jerry Jones. No, I thought Jaden looked good. I thought it didn't seem like he had any significant injury whatsoever. I don't know if that's some sort of painkiller or that's just toughness or what it is, but or if the injury is not reported correctly, I have no idea. But I thought he looked like Jaden Reed today. I thought he really did. Don't know if you remember, but I said half jokingly that the injury was giving me anxiety. Well, I can officially say that anxiety has been lifted. Good. Happy to hear it. Fenrir, thank you for the super chat. I was amazed by the defense, especially in the red zone. Green Bay has had issues on defense for over a decade, even last season. This season is tops. Yeah, I thought they were really good in the red zone as well. It certainly was the difference maker. They had 3 red zone drives early and scored 6 points on that. We're a toe tap away from being 4 red zone drives with only 6 points. Either way, tip of the cap for Tesla for coming up with that play. That was a sick freaking catch. We got to see a pretty insane catch on that one. It's not quite maybe that old Del Beckham one, but that's as good as it gets. I like good football. I like players doing amazing things. If somebody's going to come up with a touchdown catch against Green Bay, I am all for that. If you want to do that in that situation, come up with one of the catches of the year so that we get to witness it in complete garbage time when it doesn't matter at all, I will take it. I have no real issue with that whatsoever. J. Deb Daniels is not going to be a problem. Jaden Daniels might be a problem. But yeah, he's a good quarterback. I mean, Giants held him pretty in check today, I thought overall. I didn't think he was super dominant, but it's week 1 too. But now they have a short week. He was 19 of 30, 233 with a touchdown, was sacked 3 times, ran 11 times for 68 yards. Yeah, he's a certified problem. I will give you that. Let's see. Titletown T again. It's easier to super chat on days like today. Shout out Marcus, his brother Steven, and his dad Mike. Go Spartans. McFarland 05. All right, there you go. Super excited for my Packers. My first team really bummed out for my Bills. I just literally was, as I was looking to go see the box score, I saw that the Ravens are absolutely cruising in this one. Oh, Derrick Henry, 10 for 126 and a touchdown already. Zay's got 5 for 98 and a touchdown. Yeah, that does not look good for the Bills. But I will say this, Buffalo's not out of this game. Their offense can be really potent at any given moment. So down 14, a lot of time left. I don't think this one's quite over yet, but it's a hell of a start for Baltimore. They're a hell of a team. That Ravens-Packers game at Lambeau later in the year is going to be must freaking watch. Mexi got a new membership. That's awesome. Gap integrity will be huge against Jaden. No question about it. Connor, thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on Keyshawn after this game? Seemed like Detroit was exploiting him a bit. Understand it's week 1, not panicking. Just curious. Man, Connor, I don't know what kind of expectations you have, my friend. Exploiting them when the receivers in this game, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Khalif Raymond. I'm even taking Tesla's off the board on this one because that's just an incredible individual play. And again, at time, it doesn't matter. Raymond, Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown combined for 10 catches for 84 yards, no touchdowns, and the long receiver catch of the day was 19 yards. That is, yes, that is pitching a shutout defensively against their wide receivers. You're going to give up what 150 receiving yards pretty much every single game. I mean, that's a given, right? Like they're going to have some completed passes, guys. Like that's as good as it gets. That is as good as it gets. If I would tell anybody in the Packers organization, hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to have 4 catches for 45 yards in this game, would you sign up for that? They would sign it in blood. If you said Jameson Williams is going to have 4 catches for 23 yards in this game, would you accept that? They would sign it in blood. Say absolutely no question about it. If I said Khalif Raymond will have 2 catches for 16 yards in this game, would you say they would sign it immediately? Immediately. Tesla is going to have 1 catch for 13 yards. Their entire receiving core is going to have 11 catches. Their entire receiving core has 11 catches, and the long is 19 yards. Nobody has over 45 yards receiving. Would you sign up for that? Every single team that faces Detroit for the rest of the season would take that in an absolute second, not even thinking twice about it. That's as good as it gets, guys. I don't see anyone exploiting anyone in the secondary today. On Williams' interception, amazing pressure by Parsons, and what a break by Williams. Love to see it. Yeah, I think they trapped him a little bit. I don't know if that was a call by Halfley. It looked like Williams was maybe baiting him a little bit, but a beautiful play by Parsons, a beautiful play by Evan Williams as well. Chris C. Paul Farrington did not like what they saw, and Ziggy pulled the lead out the Green Bay jersey again. I'm happy that they are unhappy with the Micah Parsons and with how the Packers played in this one. I got a text from Paul early on in this one that said, just said, what a start. And I said, I'm absolutely loving it. And he said, I bet. So yeah, he knew early on in this one. That's for sure. Other than trying to farm NFL Films clips, is Dan Campbell good for anything without his coordinators? That's another one, just like we talk about for Green Bay. I wouldn't jump to any conclusions. This is one game for Detroit. I think they're going to be just fine. And I think they're going to be still a really good team this year. But we'll certainly find out a lot more. If it is one of them that's more important, hopefully it was Aaron Glenn who went to the Jets and not Ben Johnson who went to the Bears. But we'll see the Bears offense tomorrow and see what Ben Johnson's capable of. Maybe Ben Johnson was really the important piece for that Detroit offense. We shall see. But I tend to believe that this was a massive performance by the Packers defense and not maybe anything else in this one. The accidental hero, it's because he stepped up to him when he was on the ground. It's dumb, but they've been calling those standing over people as taunts for a few years now. Yeah, as far as the taunting penalty, first of all, I'm so sick of the NFL just having these like, oh, we're going to really focus on it sort of things early in seasons. Like, just grow up. All right. Nobody's asking for this. Nobody's asking for celebrating after a play and getting in a player's face and being like, I just showed you or whatever. Like, nobody's asking for that to get like, what are the kids who's thinking of the kids? Come on. It is football. It is a violent game. It's an aggressive game. I want to see guys fired up after a play and talking some smack. And listen, there's a boundary, right? If you're over the line in an excessive way, sure, throw the flag, right? But what Xavier did in that situation does not need a flag. If anything, the guy coming up and headbutting Xavier is what's deserving of that. It's just stupid that they're trying to emphasize this. It's just absolutely stupid. And I would say the same thing, by the way, if any Lions player, I don't think, Branch needed to throw his helmet. That's just a stupid thing to do, right? But if Branch is standing talking over Josh Jacobs after a big hit or something like that, dude, you made a big play. You deserve to talk your smack a little bit. I just think the NFL is off on this one big time. Nobody did spit on anyone as far as we know. That is for sure. All right, guys, I am going to probably get out of here. in just a second. I think I got to all the super chats. Appreciate you guys a ton. I will be back tomorrow with a live show. Before jumping on here, I updated an immediate reaction video, uploaded it to YouTube from Camille Davis. She's the best. Go check that out. It's about a 11-minute video, I want to say, breaking down the game. She did a great job with it. So make sure to check that out. It's also on podcast form if you'd prefer it over on the audio channels as well. It's a fun day. It's a very fun day. Beautiful start for the Packers. Hopefully the injuries are nothing serious. I'll be back tomorrow with a full breakdown after rewatching the game and being able to organize my thoughts a little bit. Excited to do that here coming up in just a bit. I will see you all very, very soon. But until next time, and as always, enjoy your victory pizza from Luigi's, of course. And as always, go Pack Go.